Welcome back, friend. Joya, is that right?
Yeah, good
Yeah.
morning.
Good morning. Welcome back. So far, it's just the two of us. I'm gonna start my recording. I thought I did that already. Oh, it's already going. Okay. All right. So this is week 3 of the Be Your Own Coach Challenge. And we have myself, Deanne, Life Coach Day, logging in from Indianapolis, Indiana. And then we have Joya from Chicago. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And the goal that I'm working on for this challenge is I want to reduce the amount of sugar that I'm eating or avoid eating sugar. And I also want to do 5 workouts. And then Joya, yours was the blog. Is that right?
Yes.
You wanted to post weekly. Is that what it is?
Yeah, well, that started off as my goal, but I'm realizing that my goal is really just to practice more discipline and consistency because that's something that I've noticed has been like the biggest thing.
Okay.
Like, I haven't been doing blog posting, but I've been consistent with the site and stuff like that in the group and like just doing the work that I need to do in order to even produce blog posts.
Okay. So being more consistent in your group, in
Yeah.
your community, is that what it is?
Yeah, I think that's actually the actual goal. But
Yeah.
in the beginning of this, I just thought it was blogging. But now that I see the bigger picture, I'm like, oh no, it's not that. It's
Yeah.
actually staying consistent with my people.
And you know what? I'm glad you shared that because my actual goal is because I was thinking my actual goal. So I found out not too long ago that I'm type 2 diabetic. And so I always have to like check my blood sugar, which is why I want to stop having the sugar. So my goal is to make sure that my blood sugar is at least between 100 and 120 each morning when I check it. So that's my actual goal is to get the numbers down. So I'm glad you shared what your actual goal is because I was thinking because I it's not that I can't ever have sugar. It's like I need to reduce the amount so that my blood sugar is lower. And I also need to be making sure I'm getting some physical activity in, which is why I'm doing work out 5 times a week or do some activity 5 times a week. So thank you for clarifying your goal because it gave me the opportunity to clarify mine.
It was honestly today, like the last couple prompts were the things that were like helping me realize, like, okay, Jordan, maybe your goal is actually deeper than what you said the surface goal is. And so then once I started paying attention to that, I'm like, okay, I actually am doing my goal. Like my goal just isn't simply just blogging, but bringing awareness. Because even though I haven't blogged in like maybe 2 weeks, like dropped a new post, every day someone is visiting the blog post, the blog site. So I'm like, so I think that's the goal, like to keep the traffic going and keep the traction going, getting people to join the group, letting people like bringing awareness to it. I'm like, okay, that's actually more my goal than just writing.
Yeah. And go ahead and just share your group information right now for people who are listening because people watching the replay might want to join. So what is your
um,
community and how do they find you?
okay, so my community is the safest space, TheSafespace, all in one word, like no spaces between. You can find the Facebook group by searching that, or you can find me on Instagram at Ya the Creator, and that's YATHECREATOR. And the community is just based on like mental health and helping people navigate different journeys, whether it's self discovery, self love, grief, just things of that sort. Grief is actually what led me to starting the Safest Space. I started it back in 2021, I believe was like when I actually launched it and just, showed the world or introduced the world to what I have been working on. But it's a space where I just am open about different things that I've been through and sharing like different techniques and things that I did to get through different books I've read, journal prompts, things of that sort. So It's a nice place, and most of the people that are a part of the community, they do engage, and they understand that like what happens in the safest space stays there. So it's pretty cool.
Awesome. It sounds like it. Thank you for sharing. You guys are gonna have to check her out.
Yes, thank you
And
for the opportunity.
yeah, of course. And for those who aren't familiar with me, my name is Deanne Day, and I am a professional certified life coach. And I do general life coaching, which means I don't have a specific niche. I don't focus on like being a weight loss coach or a business coach or this or that. I can coach anyone on anything because I focus on mindset. And so the name of my business is called Coaching Daydreams. I named it that because I'm very passionate about like people dreaming and me trying to find a way to help them make that dream come true. So I like to coach people on whatever they daydream about having, right? And helping them turn that into a reality. And I do it by helping them develop the mindset that they need to get the results that they want. So yeah, that's a little bit about me. And back to back to this challenge. Okay, so we just identified what our goals are, what our official goals are. And so I would like us to take a moment and just kind of reflect on how we've been doing in the past week. So we're currently on day 21. Today is day 21 of 100. So I would like for us to take a moment and just kind of rate ourselves on a scale of 1 to 10 with how satisfied we are with the progress that we've been making so far. And then, so on a scale of 1 to 10, how satisfied are you with the progress you've been making? And why do you give yourself that number? So do you need a moment to think about it? I think I know mine. I'll go first, and then that can give you a moment to think, Joya. So for me, I would give myself out of 10 on a scale of 1 to 10. I think I would give myself, I'm going to say a 6.5. And the reason I'm giving myself a 6.5 is because so my goal is to cut back on sugar and to do the workouts 5 times a week. So last week I did 5 workouts. This week I've done 4. So as long as I go today, then I'm still in good standing. It's the sugar thing. So last week, I think I did 2 days, maybe 1 or 2 days where I didn't have sugar. And this past week that's ending right now, I went 3 days without sugar. I would like to not have sugar. So that's why I'm giving myself a 6.5. Last week when I thought about it, I was kind of rating myself like at a 4. So the number is going up. I'm seeing that I'm making more and more progress as time goes by and as the challenge goes by. And I have noticed that some of the self-coaching prompts have been helping me kind of get into the right mindset. Because before I wasn't even doing any working out. I think I was doing 2 times a week. So now I've bumped it up to 5 times a week for the past 2 weeks. So I'm making progress. I'm just not where I want to be yet. So I'm very proud of my progress. Even though it's 6.5, I'm proud of that and I can see the progress. But for now, I'm giving it a 6.5. So how about you, Joya? How would you rate your progress?
Okay, so I said I would actually give myself a 10
Okay.
because one thing that I've learned is it takes 21 days to form a habit. And for these last 21 days, I've literally been very consistent with this. But I've noticed beyond being consistent with this, I've also been consistent with 24 days with another, just like self inner child healing journaling thing I've been doing daily. So like I just feel really good about it because it's like now that I'm doing the both of them and I'm seeing how like every day I wake up and like I want to do these things because it's like I've also kind of made it a part of like a routine almost. It's just like to see the growth, like to see my discipline and consistently actually coming through. Like when I had the days I was like, I don't know if I want to do it. A part of me is like, nah, but do it. Like challenge yourself. And to see me challenging myself and actually sticking to it, it's like, oh, okay, girl, look at you. And actually see the fruits of my labor feels good. So I gave myself a because at first I was like, I'll probably give myself an 8, but I'm like, you deserve a perfect score. Like you've been doing really good. And I think that's something that we have to remind ourselves too, is like if you believe you've been doing an amazing job, like for example, you said a 6.5, but I think that's a 10. Because last week it was 2 days and this week it was three. At first it was hard to make it past a day.
Yeah,
So it's
that's true.
like I'm really getting to a point where it's like perfection is how you see it. And if I think that me going from not being able to journal for a week straight to journaling 21 days every morning when I wake up and every night before I go to bed, dude, that's a 10. I've
Hmm.
been doing it for 21 days now, for
Mm.
24.
So you formed that habit that you was talking about.
Exactly, exactly. And so not only that, I formed the habit and also I've created a routine because like now is like if I don't journal at night, I wake up in the morning like something is so off.
Hmm.
And I realize like, oh girl, you did not do your daily reflection. Or like in the morning, if I have mornings where like I might not have my journal with me, like I'll still look at the daily coaching prompt and I'll think about it. And then the minute I get to my journal, I'm like, okay, let's go ahead and get this out. Let's go ahead and do this because it's like it's something I want to be. Because I feel like it's teaching me consistency in the best way and discipline for real. So it's like I feel like I am at a 10. Like I'm happy I did this. Like I was looking like, oh, this is week 3. Like girl, you're doing a good
Congrat-
job.
Congratulations on your 10 and for performing that or getting that habit going. I have a question for you. So you said your goal is like consistency and discipline, and specifically in your community. But I'm wondering, are you seeing consistency and discipline in other aspects of your life outside of just the goal?
Yes, like I'm noticing this actually pours into a lot of different areas because like it pushes me to be more, like open and active with my group and stuff like that. But I've also noticed like even when it comes to like just ever since that video, when it was just like making just certain decisions, I was just like, if I make this decision, like, will this really cost me this? Or like, I'm also becoming very just aware of like, oh, okay, so I made this decision and this is what it got me. Cool. So it's like it's it's teaching me a lot. Like I'm learning when you're practicing discipline and consistency, it raises your awareness.
Mm-hmm.
And so that is also something that I really like am enjoying as well.
Good.
So, so
And
yeah, it definitely spills out into other areas.
I'm glad to hear that it's pouring into other aspects, and that's what that's what it typically does. A lot of times, like I'll have some of my clients pick only one goal. Let's focus on one goal. But it's like, but we have so many goals. We want to focus on them all. But the thing is, it's like if you focus on the one thing that you really want, like yours is like consistency in your group, and then but it's also pouring out into other areas of your life, and that's what happens when you focus and you get disciplined and you create habits for one specific goal. You're still the same person, so how you do one thing is how you do everything, right? So it's going to pour into other aspects of your life, and you're going to benefit. Even though you're focusing on one thing, other areas of your life will definitely benefit as well. So thank you for sharing that and letting it giving us some insight on how you're progressing. Okay, so for today, I would like for us to I kind of want to focus a little bit on mindset. And I want to reflect on the coaching prompt from Monday, which is kind of going to lead into today's activity. So when I say mindset, like mindset is a set of beliefs and attitudes that shape how we see ourselves, how we see others, how we see the world around us, and it influences how we approach different challenges. It influences how we solve our problems. It influences how we pursue our goals, or if we even decide to pursue our goals or not. So in this session, I want to explore how like a positive and a more growth oriented mindset can be a powerful tool for personal transformation, for helping us achieve our goals, for helping us overcoming challenges. And by just shifting our mindset, we can break free from the limiting beliefs or the thoughts that we have that tend to hold us back and figure out how to, tap into our full potential. So let me just take a moment to kind of reflect on Monday's self coaching prompt. So Monday's self coaching prompt was, what thoughts are no longer serving you in this challenge? So, like, just in general, as you work towards your goals or whatever it is that you are focused on during this 100 day, I want you to consider what thoughts that you're having that are not serving to you. They're holding you back. They're keeping you from making progress. They're making you doubt yourself. They're like an anchor, like a weight, just keeping you from getting what you want. And then I want to know, like, or as far as Monday's question, it was the second part of it was, how can you replace those non-serving thoughts with more empowering thoughts? And so if we take time to answer this question, we can reflect on how our mindset may be holding us back, and then also offering an opportunity to shift toward a more empowering perspective. So for today's journaling, what I would like is kind of to, you may have already answered Monday's question, but kind of maybe re-answer it or kind of see what you wrote. And I would like you to identify like what thoughts have not been serving you in the challenge, maybe have been hindering you, holding you back, that you've been having, and then take a moment and identify some more empowering thoughts that have been helpful. Or if you don't have thoughts that may have been helpful, identify some thoughts that could be more empowering and could be helpful instead of the ones that you've been thinking. And then I want you to kind of take a look at those thoughts and tell me, what do you notice about them? Like, are they all negative? Are they all just like, it's just a kind of about self-doubt, or is it kind of about fear? Like, what are you noticing about your thoughts? Okay, so um, let's take a minute to, you can, like I said, if you've already answered Monday's question, you can answer it again. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to see if there's any other thoughts that I have that are empowering or disempowering. And then I'm kind of going to probably look at what I wrote for Monday too. So we'll take about maybe 3 to 5 minutes to do this. And then we're going to kind of do an activity built off of the thoughts that we find that we've been having. Okay. Any questions?
No, no questions.
All right. So I'm gonna play a little soft music. We got the questions on the screen, and let's get to journaling, see what we can find, what's going on. Okay. Okay. So where's mine? Okay. So I will share a couple of thoughts that I came up with. I kind of was looking at my thoughts from Monday, and one of the thoughts that I feel is not serving, and it's a thought that I have a lot, and it's a thought that isn't even really true, but I still have it. It's that I never follow through. Like that's one of the like that's thought number one on my list actually, because I have it a lot. It's like I never follow through. So I want to be consistent with, working out and avoiding sugar, but then my brain is telling me that I never follow through, which we all know is not true because I just said this week I met my workout goal and last week I met the workout goal. So that's clearly not true, but yet it's the first thought that came up when I have thoughts that I'm thinking that are not serving to me. And then another thought that I have that's not serving to me is that, like, oh, I could just do it later. I could start later. Like, oh, we got 100 days. There's still plenty of days that I can, make the right choice. I'll just start later. I'll just do it later. So those are two thoughts that I feel like are not serving to me. Did you identify any thoughts, Joya, that you feel like are not serving to you?
Yeah. So on Monday, excuse me, I wrote how like I basically have like a lot of negative Nancy thoughts that'll come and they try to like just instill fear and doubt in me or whatever.
Mm.
And some of the thoughts that came to mind was like, what if nobody interacts? Nobody is really reading your stuff or interacting. Depending on what you share, people might shame you, stuff like that. And I've even thought to myself, like, you got to open up more, people not gonna read. And as I was writing these things, like I'm just really going over these thoughts because these are a lot of thoughts that like I would think often, but because I've been working hard to, battle those thoughts, I'm like if it comes up a what if thought, I'm like, well, this is not even my thought. So what if nobody interacts? Like, oh well, I'm still getting it off. Like it's still up my chest. One day somebody might come across it and this might be the best thing they ever read. So it doesn't matter. Like that's not the point. Um, but I was just like I would tell myself like, you know, I've been noticing that every day somebody different is now interacting in my group. Like even though the group has been active for 2 years now, three, I don't know, two, because I started the Facebook group in 2022. But even though it's been active for like 2 years now, people are like more people are starting to finally interact, which is another thing. Even if I don't share about my blog post specifically daily, I still get at least one visitor a day. So like, it's the little things like that that count. That I have to remind myself that's like, no, it's actually working. Like even when I talk to people, like I see my friends, they're like, girl, because that blog post was so good. I'm like, oh, you read it? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, oh, okay. Like, and part of me is like, oh my gosh, they see me naked. But at the same time, I'm like, okay, like people are reading this. So I just have to remind myself, like, it's the small steps, you know,
Yeah, yeah,
also make up the big piece of the puzzle. Like the small pieces help to get the bigger picture. So I
yeah.
remind myself one step at a time, yeah, okay.
Okay. So thank you for sharing the thoughts that you're having. And those thoughts creep up. They just creep up on us as if they're do you feel like it's true? Remember how I said I have a thought, but it's not even really true? Like, do you feel
No, I definitely don't feel like it's true. So I feel like it was at the beginning of the pandemic, and I would see a lot of people talk about imposter syndrome, and I never understood what they meant because I'm like, imposter syndrome, that's crazy. But as someone who is currently leaving behind the old self and transitioning into a new self, I get it because sometimes you do feel like an imposter in your own body, and so I feel like those thoughts are like thoughts from a past self, the self that wanted to keep you in that space of like even though it might be negative, it's comfort because you've been there for so long, you know? So I feel like maybe those kind of thoughts, that's like, that's what's coming up. And because it doesn't recognize what you're trying to do. It's like, no, 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 no. For example, like you trying to cut out sugar, but your body's like, no, we thrive off
Yeah.
sugar. Like sugar is what we do, girl. You sure you want to leave this behind? Like it's no way possible you could just leave sugar. What are you gonna do if you leave? What if you stop eating sugar and then your fingernails fall? Like, like you just start getting the craziest thoughts and it's like that is so like I'm starting to also tell myself like that's irrational. Like what if nobody interacts but people are literally telling me every day, girl, keep going. I'm enjoying this. I'm like people from high school that I haven't talked to in years, we are starting to talk every day almost. Just because we talking about different things that I share in my community, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
So it's
amazing.
like the thoughts definitely come from a place. It's like they're your thoughts, but they're not your thoughts. They're your old thoughts. The thoughts from your old self. The
They're
self that's
thoughts
like,
that
I
our
don't want to
brain
go.
they're thoughts that our brain are offering to us, but we don't have to choose to focus on them. What we choose to focus on is an option. So speaking of
Exactly.
that, so the next part is like us identifying what empowering thoughts that we have that are more helpful, more useful to us. Were you able to identify like a couple of thoughts that you feel like when you have those, it inspires you, it makes you move forward, it makes you be more consistent and disciplined?
hmm Like,
What?
I affirm myself a lot. Like, just affirmations telling myself, like, you're doing okay.
Mm-hmm,
Like, being vulnerable is a hard thing. So to be vulnerable with the world, even though you don't even know what world you're actually being vulnerable with, you just know you're being vulnerable with the internet world. Like, girl, like you're doing amazing. Like that's literally some of the stuff I have to tell myself. I also tell myself like I'm not in a race or a competition with life or nobody. Like the pace that I'm moving is the pace that I'm supposed to be at. And it is okay for me to take my time. It is okay for me to have moments where I might not want to do it or I might not feel like it, but that's okay. As long as I don't stay in that energy and I just, honor it for that moment, it's
mm-hmm,
okay. Like I have to practice being kind to myself. So
yeah,
that's one thing I noticed because like oftentimes when you're making changes or challenges, like it's so easy to beat yourself up like you can't do this, or like look at you, you slacking. The thoughts just be so crazy. So I really have to get to a space where I'm like, no, it's okay. Like
yeah.
it's okay. You're doing good. You're doing great. Like I tell myself often, you're doing amazing, sweetie. You're doing amazing.
Thank you for sharing. My Some of the thoughts that I have that I felt like are empowering is just the first one was like I'm not giving up. Like it doesn't matter how many times I don't get it right, I'm not giving up. And so that kind of keeps me going. And then like sometimes I'm like, oh, like it's so hard to give up sugar is one of my thoughts that I have that's kind of disempowering. And then a positive thought is like, but I could do hard things. You know what I mean? I'm capable of doing hard things. So those are just, oh, and then another one is my body needs me to do this. That's empowering. Like I don't want to give up sugar, but my body needs me to do this, right? Or my heart needs me to do this because of health concerns. So those are thoughts that kind of make me help me make the more positive decisions when I'm in it, or if I want to give up, or if I just want to give in and have like a snack or whatever that has tons of sugar in it, thinking like, but my body needs me to make, the healthier decision, or like I can do hard things. It's hard, but I can do hard things though. So those are just some empowering thoughts that I have. So the next part of our activity is I want us to identify two different thoughts. One is like the a disempowering thought and an empowering thought that you have. So like for me, mine is going to be like I never follow through, and then the other one is going to be but I'm not giving up, right? So those are going to be the ones that I pick. but just try to pick a disempowering thought that maybe comes up a lot for you, or like you feel like you're impacted a lot by it. Maybe not right now in the moment because you're in a good space, but maybe in the past, it's like it's been the one that's like got you to like n- not do the thing that you wanted to do, right? And then also pick one empowering thought that you feel like is like, this is the one that helps me through, or this is the one that kind of feels the most intense when you think, and it's the most helpful when you think it. So one of each, empowering and disempowering. And then, yeah, I'll give you a second. Let me know when you've got your thoughts. One of each. And if you want, you can rewrite them because we're going to do a little bit of work underneath it, or you could label them like thought number one, thought number two, because you're going to do like a little bit of work on each of them. So you want to have a little bit of space to be able to like write under each one. All right, so I'm gonna keep moving. Um, so we have one disempowering thought. We have one thought that's more empowering and that is more serving to us. For me, as I said before, my uh disempowering thought is I never follow through. And my empowering thought is I'm not giving up. Have you identified yours, Joya, or you need a little bit more time?
So my uh disempowering one would be like a thought that has bothered me since maybe the beginning of everything
Hmm.
is, what if nobody engages or interacts? And something that I've noticed, like with me, being back active in both the community on Facebook and my blog site, is that every day someone new interacts or engages. And some days I'm not even active, but other people are. So like that's
What is
something I
your,
always remind myself.
you said your brain tells you, what if someone doesn't engage? What's the answer to that? Like, what negative, disempowering answer does it give you? What does your brain make it mean? Like, if no one engages, then what?
It makes
Like,
me feel like I'm sharing for nothing, or like I'm
okay.
wasting my time writing
So,
this stuff, and it's like basically just trying to instill that fear and doubt to just like stop doing it. You know?
so then those would be your negative thoughts. Like, what if, like, I'm sharing for nothing, I'm wasting my time. So
Mhm.
I'm sharing for nothing. Because that's the answer to the question. And then you ask yourself that question, and your brain, it gives you the answer, right? Because you just said it. I'm wasting my time. I'm sharing for nothing. So when you think that you're wasting your time or that you're sharing for nothing, what emotion do you feel?
Mm, well, sometimes I feel like, mm, well, now I don't know. I feel like that's not true, but at first, like when I used to really believe it, almost
Uh-huh.
like when I was in the space, I was like, well, yeah, I am writing for nothing. I might as well stop sharing. I don't know. I just was like, yeah, like maybe my mind is right. Like, I mean, nobody is engaging for real. Like I don't.
Yeah. So
I
maybe
just,
like discouraged. Like,
yeah, I was just easily discouraged.
is there an emotion on the screen that you see that maybe you felt when you're thinking, I'm sharing for nothing. What was it? I'm sharing for nothing. I'm
I'm
wasting my
wasting my
time.
time.
Yeah.
I would say like inadequate in the space of like the insecurity.
Okay. Inadequate and insecure.
Yeah, like it
Okay.
was from those. I feel like it was from those spaces, and also like because I also was sharing vulnerable stuff and like being transparent about things in my life, like the thought of being ridiculed or like somebody shaming me, and I used to be like, but like I got to the point where I was like, well, Joy, you're the only person that lived this life, so
So
if
you would
nobody
feel,
else experienced the feelings, like but I would feel like just like nervous almost like literally how I said like now when I talk to my friends and stuff like they tell me they have read a blog post, I'm like feel like, oh my gosh, they've seen me naked, but instead of feeling like, oh, let me cup up, I'm like, okay, girl, let me flaunt this body. So
mhm,
it's a difference in how I perceive it now, or like how I accept it. I'm no longer like fearing it, because I mean I'm sharing it because I'm okay with it now. Like I've made peace with it. And that's something I also have to remind myself is things that I share are things that I've made peace with. So it's
okay.
nothing nobody can do or say that'll make me feel those ways anymore. Not even my mind. Because my mind be
So
trying.
so for you, when you're empowering thoughts, it sounds like from because you gave me like a variety of feelings, and so you were probably having a bunch of different thoughts that caused a bunch of different feelings. So
Mm-hmm.
for your disempowering thoughts, sometimes you felt insecure or inadequate or discouraged or vulnerable, things like that. So you said your thought was, what if I'm wasting my time? I'm sharing for nothing. So identify specific emotions that align with that. I'm wasting my time and sharing for nothing that align with those thoughts. And then I'm gonna share the emotion that goes with mine. Then we're gonna move on to the positive thought that we have. So
Okay.
for mine, mine is like I never follow through. So that makes me feel I never follow through. It just makes me feel disappointed because it's like I'm disappointed in myself for never following through. And it also makes me feel discouraged. So the thought I never follow through makes me feel disappointed and then discouraged. Those are the specific the feelings, the specific emotions that align with that thought. When I think the thought that I'm not giving up, that makes me feel like determined or unstoppable. Yeah, like I'm not giving up makes me feel determined and unstoppable. But when I think I never follow through, then I feel discouraged and disappointed. So what about your positive thought? What's your positive thought that you have? And then the emotion that kind of aligns with that thought.
Mm, okay. So my positive thought would probably, my positive thought would be that, like every day somebody new is engaging. So like regardless, like, and I'm receiving positive feedback and positive engagement. So all of the negative thoughts, I kind of like that challenges that, because it's like, well, if this is what's going on, how can I feel like that? And so that actually like brings me feelings of joy, because it's like, yes, this is working, but also because I'm sharing, it also like helps me feel a little liberated.
Mm,
Because I'm able to like just release things and be received in a way that's like, okay, this is cool. Like people are taking to it better than my mind was trying to tell me. It also helps me feel like inspired and just optimistic and wanting to keep going.
yeah.
Like because I'm literally in a space like I've never been diagnosed with depression, but because I've studied psychology, I've experienced what it's like to live with someone who is diagnosed with clinical depression, like I know the signs. So I know that I've dealt with depression, especially because of, life. So when you deal with depression, you often have a mind that wants to go against itself.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing that I've been learning is I have to challenge my mind. Like, because it likes to challenge me with negative, I have to challenge it with positive. So, like, often when it's like, well, what if something bad? I'm like, okay, and what if something good happen? And what? And being in that space now, like, that's why it's like the disempowering thoughts, I'm just like, okay, like, once you ask the feelings, I'm like, oh, okay, that's what it is. That's what it's trying to bring. But because I try to ignore that and immediately just challenge the thought, I'm like, what if it's the opposite? So this is, I like this.
Yeah. It's showing you. So what this activity is doing is showing us like when we think certain things, it has an impact on us. And it's showing you like the impact, like how it literally impacts you and how it impacts your ability to achieve your goal. So that's why I wanted to do this activity this week so that we can get some more insight and clarity on like what is actually going on when we just let our brain offer us thoughts that may be true, may be unuseful, may be disempowering, and we just allow them and we choose to focus on them and we believe them. All right, so we got our empowering thoughts and we know how those make us feel. We got the emotions to go with that. We got our disempowering thoughts and we know how those make us feel. So now think of your disempowering thoughts and stick in the disempowering, like just stay with it, like as if that's your only thought. When you're
Mm-hmm.
thinking your disempowering thought and you're feeling those negative emotions, what actions do you typically take? So for me, when I'm thinking about my goal, I want to work out and I want to give up sugar, right? And then my thought about it is, but I never follow through. And then I'm feeling disappointed and I'm feeling discouraged. What is an action that I'm going to take? So, my action, if I'm feeling disappointed in myself and discouraged, is like I'm giving up ahead of time. It's like I give up. My action is to give up, to not even try because I don't follow through. So, me giving up looks like me deciding not to go work out, deciding to stay and watch Netflix instead, deciding to go eat the sugar, go eat the candy, go eat the snacks. Like that's literally what I am doing. Those are the actions that I choose to take when I'm feeling discouraged and when I'm feeling disappointed because I'm thinking, I never follow through. So I might as well just not do it, not even try. It's like I go into inaction. I stop taking actions toward the goal. And then I'm doing the opposite of what's going to help me reach the goal. So those are actions that I take. So when you think about your disempowering thoughts, and the negative emotions that you have identified that you feel, what were some things that you noticed that you did because you were feeling that way?
Mm, I know one thing I would do, like you said, just stop doing stuff. When I was in a space where I was like, believing the thoughts and stuff like that, I would be like I would just stop posting, I would stop content creating, I would stop sharing, I would just kind of just go into like hermit mode. And I would spend a lot of time just sitting in my bed watching TV or, just wasting time on social media, just doing a lot of things that distract me from, I guess, even doing anything that would allow the thoughts to come up. Because I'm like, well, if I'm not focused on that, then I shouldn't think that stuff. But even if I wasn't doing that, I still would think those kind of things. I'm like, okay, well, something got to give. But I noticed like that's the type of stuff like I would do. I would go outside. So then I'm like with my friends. But even if I'm outside with my friends, I eventually start thinking like, oh my gosh, like I could be writing. Like I don't. It just was getting to a point where I was just like, something is not like I just it was something missing. But because I was so heavy on telling myself like it's a waste of your time anyways, like might as well waste your time doing something else. At least you have fun doing these kind of things. It's like, okay. I was believing it. Yeah.
Okay. And then now we're going to shift. Now we're going to shift and we're going to consider, okay, the positive thought that we identified, the empowering thought. So my empowering thought was, I'm not giving up. Like I am not giving up on this. I'm not giving up on this goal. I want to achieve it. I'm not going to give up. I don't care how long it takes. Like those are the thoughts that I would have, and those are empowering to me. So those would make me feel determined. It made me feel unstoppable. And so since I felt determined and unstoppable because I was thinking I'm not giving up, then the actions I would take is um just like I would just find a way to take one small step toward my goal, right? So that's when I started just going to the park and just going for a walk because it didn't have to be this big grand workout. It can just be something small at home or going to the park. So I would go to the park. I would be doing my self-coaching prompts because I know that the more you answer these prompts, it's it it will inspire you to take action towards your goal when you're answering it with your goal in mind. So I'm doing my prompts more. I'm finding healthier snacks when I'm grocery shopping. I'm watching more videos to learn about healthy eating. I have a book that I've been reading about how to like get your blood sugar down. Like I'm putting more energy in like learning things that I can do to be more healthy and then actually trying those things. And then when I slip up, it's like, dang, I messed up. I never followed through, right? But then I go back to, but I'm not giving up. And since I'm thinking, but I'm not giving up, that I'm like, okay, I'm thinking of the next best, healthiest decision I can make, right? So those are the positive things that I'm doing. I keep trying. I'm educating myself on how to do better. I'm at the park walking and I'm making healthier choices. Those are the actions that I take when I'm feeling unstoppable and determined because I'm thinking that I'm not giving up. So when you think your positive action, I mean, when you think your empowering thought that makes you feel those positive emotions, what actions do you find yourself taking?
Um, so I noticed like I will start looking for more journal challenges just to like with journal prompts to help me overcome stuff like self doubt, fear, anxiety, things of that sort, just to start breaking those thoughts out of the way so that I could be more active. And then the more that worked, I started reading more books to just like, get my brain back flowing and stuff like that. And then once I had like got to a space of being comfortable, I actually set up like automated posts. So every day of the week, um, like there's a good morning, post that goes into the group. And then like either in the middle of the day or the end of the day, like I have a journal prompt that I'm asking. And some days that actually gets people to engage more. I also set up something where people could post anonymously. So like those things have helped the engagement grow, which has helped me see that my negative thoughts really were just negative thoughts. And they probably didn't even belong to me to begin with. They just wanted to instill the fear. And so because I worked through those things, I was like, okay, I like this. Like this is cool. Like that's all I could ever say. I'm just like, this is cool. Like when you get to a space where you finally can recognize the negative thoughts that are just trying to take you back to a space that you left from. It's like,
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm not going there. So,
Okay. So we're going to take it one more step deeper with we're looking at these same two thoughts. And then I'll do me. So what I want to know now is we just talked about, we're going back to the negative thought. Think about like when you have that negative thought and it causes you to feel those negative emotions that we identified. And because you're feeling those negative emotions, you're taking specific action. So when I'm thinking I never follow through and then I'm feeling disappointed and I'm feeling discouraged, I go into inaction, which means I ain't doing nothing toward the goal. I start eating sugar. I'm watching Netflix. I'm not working out. I'm scrolling on Facebook. I'm doing stuff that don't have nothing to do with my goal. If I continue to do those actions day after day over and over again, then what is the result that I am creating by taking those actions? And the result is, when I think about it, if I'm watching Netflix, eating sugar, not working out, overeating is one thing that I didn't say that I would do. Basically, I'm gaining weight, right? The
Mm.
result that I'm creating is I'm creating weight gain. I'm creating a higher blood sugar number. So more unhealthiness in my body. Basically, I'm not helping my body. I'm increasing the chances for more negative things, like when you're diabetic and you don't take care of those things. I'm increasing the chances for more of those things to happen to me because I'm not doing anything to help the situation. Those are the results that I'm creating, and I'm creating them all because I feel discouraged and disappointed because I'm thinking I never follow through. You see what I'm saying? How
Yeah.
my thoughts, the way that I'm thinking has created that result for me. So what about you? Your disempowering thoughts. I want to know, when you take those negative actions again and again and again and again, day after day, what is it that you're creating in your life?
Um, I feel like it pushes me back into a dark space because I won't be active with like just anything that I'm doing, to help me stay out of the dark space. And um, it'll cause me to be inactive. Like the first time I was probably a year of like just inactivity with the safe space. And I noticed like being in a space where I'm back active compared to when I wasn't active, like just how I felt, just even personally, like I really feel like this is my baby. So I feel like, when I neglect it, I feel that. Like I feel the neglect personally because it's like, oh, why would I do that? But like when I'm actually feeding into it and taking care of it like I'm supposed to, I feel good. And I feel like I'm actually serving out my purpose. So when I don't do it, it feels just like, oh gosh. Like it brings back negative thoughts. I feel like the anxiety might come back times 10 because I'll probably be in a space where it's like, girl, you shared all that stuff and now the whole world know, like, and I don't want to allow those type of thoughts because I do have some of those thoughts come up sometimes, and I'm like, okay, and like, it's a lot of people in this. I'm just joyous. A lot of people in this world that have shared a lot of stuff about their life, and it has made a change somehow, some way. So I
So
have
it's
to tell myself those things. Like it's okay to make a
so it
change.
sounds like when you do those activities, you're causing inactivity. It's like you're not, you refer to it as your baby. So when you the results you get when you take those actions from the negative thought is you keep yourself from taking care of your baby, and
Mm-hmm.
taking care of your baby, you benefit from that because then you get to feel better. You don't experience feelings of anxiety and some of the depression and stuff. So it helps you too when you're actually doing it. So then when you don't, then you're also like creating or causing some feelings of anxiety or depression within yourself because you're not doing the thing that makes you feel better. Does that sound accurate?
Yeah, it's like taking care of my baby is essentially me taking care of myself, and when I don't take care of that, I don't take care of myself. But yeah,
Exactly. So you keep yourself from taking care of yourself and giving you what you need and giving your community what they need. All
yeah,
right. So then moving into the positive, right? You got this positive, empowering thought, and mine is like, I'm not giving up. I'm feeling determined. I'm feeling unstoppable. When I'm feeling that way, I'm becoming more knowledgeable about how to take care of like my blood sugar. I'm out there walking in the park. I'm making healthier decisions. If I make a mistake, it's okay because my next decision is going to be a healthy one. I'm just not giving up. And so if I'm continuously doing that, then the result that I'm creating is a healthier body. I'm creating weight loss and I'm reaching the goal that I set for myself. Those are the results that I'm creating. So with you and your empowering thought that you have, then what result will you be creating if you continue to take those thoughts that we identified before? If you take those thoughts and that's just all you do is just take them positive thoughts, what result are you creating?
Um, an engaging community, um, more self confidence in myself, more like optimism from like not only myself but just for people in my community. Um, yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so this picture
I
that
feel like
we
I create more of an actual community.
yeah, an engaging community, and you're probably positively impacting the lives of people in your community as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
Hmm.
So the little CTFAR that we see on the side, that is a version of the self-coaching model, which was created by Brooke Castillo. And it states that every circumstance that we have in our life is neutral until we have a thought about it. So our circumstance is the goal we've been talking about. Mine is to reduce my blood sugar normals or numbers. Yours is to be more consistent and disciplined. But then when we think about that goal, then we have the thoughts that we have about it causes us to feel certain emotions, which then triggers certain actions. And if we do those actions again and again, we get a specific result. And that's what we just did. We just walked through that whole process with an empowering thought and with a disempowering thought. And we see that when we have these empowering thoughts and we focus on those, then we end up creating the result that we want. But then when we have that disempowering thought and we choose to focus on that one and let that one take over, then we get the results that we don't want, right? We get the opposite of what it is that we really want. And so this activity was just kind of to show us how the way we think literally creates the results that we get in our life. So when we choose to think that disempowering thought, we get those results that we don't want, right? You create when you think that disempowering thought, then you're creating anxiety and depression and just inconsistency and not taking care of the baby. But when you think of those empowering thoughts, now you're creating a engaging community. You're helping to change people's lives. You're changing and having a positive impact on your own life. And it's because of the thoughts that you're choosing to think. And so that is what I wanted us to get out of today's thing is just to we have the power to choose the thoughts that we think just like you are choosing, you're in a space now where you're choosing more empowering thoughts. We have the power to choose. We don't have, just because my brain is telling me, you never follow through. I don't have to focus on that and believe that. Plus, I know that that ain't even true, but my brain tells me that. But I can choose to focus on the fact, yeah, but I'm not going to give up. Do you see what I'm saying? And then we're taking more actions and we're getting more of the results that we want. So we actually have the power to choose what we want to focus on. We just got to use our power. So what thoughts come up for you when you hear me say all that?
Um, honestly, it was this like sound bite. I don't know if it was on TikTok or Instagram, but the girl's like, "You're doing a good job. You're doing a good." Like that's literally what I was just thinking. It's like, "Girl, you're doing a good job. Like you're doing amazing, sweetie." Like that's just all I could think. It's like, love this.
Yeah. Okay.
So
Well, you are doing a good job. And I'm sure your community appreciates you and they're Glad that you're listening to your empowering thoughts more than you're listening to your disempowering thoughts, because then uh because you're doing that now, you're showing up for them and you're helping them and giving them what they need, and you're also giving yourself what you need. So
Yeah.
congratulations on that. You should feel proud of yourself. Let me get my pom pom out, shake my pom pom.
Yes.
Hey! So how are you feeling after today's check-in? What emotion are you feeling?
After today's check-in, I am feeling peaceful
That's good. And I
and
am, go ahead.
optimistic. I'm sorry,
Peaceful and
peaceful and
optimistic.
optimistic. Hmm.
I'm feeling inspired and empowered, because like I got the power to choose what I want to think so that I can get the results that I want. So I feel empowered and I feel inspired. Oh yeah. Okay, well, thank you so much for joining me. And for those of you watching the replay, thank you so much for engaging and listening to us. And I hope this activity is helpful to you. And I will see you guys next week.
Yes. See you next week.
See ya. Have a good weekend.
You as well.
Thanks.